Hi, this is Robert with Pioneer Smokehouses, and today we're going to just focus on lighting the Masterbuilt 40-inch charcoal digital smoker. This is also known as the 1320, or else there's a full item number down in the description below. Before we get started, if you're not subscribed to the channel already, please do so. And also you'll find links to the review article on this directly below in the description, including affiliate links for products that I use in my videos. So let's start by taking a look at the basket. So we're going to flip the camera to this side. So this is your charcoal basket right here. So first you have the tray itself, which is what the basket sits in, and there's a couple of bars, I don't know if you would call them risers or what, right here. And then you have the basket itself. The basket tends to warp a little bit, but as it heats up, it will settle back into the original position. This is a divider that divides the thing for if you're gonna use it for lower temperatures and you want it to burn in a S pattern, this will do that for you. Also, you can load wood chips in here to get a heavier smoke. So let's go ahead and remove this back out real quick and talk about this. This right here is where the lighters go, and I'm gonna grab one and show you. And the directions call for 2 of these, so you would set 2 right next to each other. Now, I have not been a big fan of the lighters themselves, so I'll explain that to you in a minute here, but because we're going to light this my preferred method today, and if you look at some of my previous videos, you'll see that I've lit it in a lot of different manners. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is, this goes in right here in the center, right? It just clips in. But I'm just going to set it over here for today, and I'm actually going to reverse it. And what it'll do is it'll reduce the size of the charcoal area. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this. And let's go ahead and talk to the other camera for a second. So this is Matchlight charcoal, and I like to use a lot of this when I'm doing these. And when I say a lot, I mean like 5 or 6 briquettes. If you buy a bag of this to use as your primary starting method, it'll last you for a year maybe. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna put some on the edge. So that way, when I pour the other charcoal in, it'll get going faster. We can just use this as the lighter. It does take a lot of time, so you want to make sure you put enough in, and you also want to make sure you get enough on the bottom, so that way when it lights, it burns upwards. So let's go ahead and throw some of these in here. So I'm just going to throw a couple in here to work with first. So I got about 10 of them in here, and what we're going to do is I'm going to move this for a second, is that we're going to put some like this, and the fan will be blowing in that direction, so we don't want to block the airflow at all. And we want the charcoal to be able to ignite, but we also want the air to blow. So I'm just going to lay it like this and get it going crossways, and then the air can blow on it. Then I can lay a couple of pieces across the top like that, and it won't interrupt the airflow. Then I'll put this back in here. We'll add a couple more of these, and that'll be it. We want these to be completely lit by the time we put our food in, because we do not want any lighter fluid taste in our food. And again, I'm not going to be putting lighters in here, and I'll explain that why in a second. So now, all right, so now that we're done with the match light, that's all we'll be using for today. And now that can tell you why this bag of match light is going to last so long. Then what we'll do is that we'll pour our regular charcoal in here. When you get down to the end of a bag of regular charcoal, you probably don't want to just dump it in. You get down to that last part and you grab the last few of them, and you can just lay those in. And again, I'm still trying to keep in mind that I don't want to block the airflow as I stack these up here. You get a little bit further along, it doesn't make a lot of difference. It's like a bag of cereal. When you get down to the bottom of a bag of cereal, you don't want all those crumbs in your bowl, trying to get it kind of, you know, just the chunks in there. Some people I know use things like chicken wire grates, and you just make yourself a little frame and staple some chicken wire to it, and then you just pour your charcoal on that, and you'll get rid of all this stuff here. All right, so then this bag is empty, but don't worry, I have another whole bag over at the house and another bag of apple also. But we're not going to worry too much about that today. We're just going to go ahead and switch to the next bag, which was going to be this Royal Oak. And again, it's a pretty good brand also, so I'm not too worried about it. And we're just going to fill this thing up. Okay, so now let's switch to the other camera and take a look here, and you'll see how much is in there. But what we're going to do is we're going to pull this sideways and get most of this away from the original starting charcoal. And the reason is because we're going to dump charcoal right in there. And we want more in there than that, and the spacer here will keep it so that way it's all together. And there you go. Now we're looking good. And if we wanted to add wood, this would be the point that we could add some wood chunks. I happen to have some apple here. This is just the leftovers from a bag of apple. And what we want to do is we want to space it out a little bit. We don't want it touching a bunch, or it'll all go up at once. So we'll kind of put it like a little pile over here, a little pile over there. Separate it out so that way it will burn, but it just won't burn all together. We don't want a big fire, we just want a nice smooth burn. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit here about the lighters really quick. We have two different kinds of lighters. You have your blocks, and then you have your haystacks here, and then there's some other different types. And then you can also make lighters yourself out of dryer lint and wax. But you know, you can also just take some newspaper and spray it with a little bit of vegetable oil and put it underneath your chimney starters. That works really well too. Don't overspray it with the vegetable oil, just a little bit, which will really help get it going. Mostly I use the haystacks for this model. It works really well. So today, what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna set this haystack down. We're gonna take a look here, and right here on this, in this grill, and then we're gonna use a chimney lighter. And this has turned out to be my most successful way for lighting these things. And so I would say that if I were you, I would probably stick with that too. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in about 3 match lights down the bottom. You don't have to, but I want to make sure it gets going. So I'm just going to throw, so if you look in here, I throw a few match lights down there in the bottom. And then I'm going to put some of these in there. Just trying to fill up the gaps around the edges so that way when I pour more in, stuff doesn't go flying. So now we can take and dump a bunch in there. And I'll tell you, the amount of charcoal that we want in here is the amount of charcoal that will fit in there. So we don't want to overdo it. So if you're not sure, take a couple out. And you're good. But I'm going to tell you right now that if you have more than will go in there, it will cause a problem, because then when you go to dump it, it'll just start pouring out, and you don't want that to happen with your charcoal. And always remember, have your fire extinguisher handy. Mine's right around the corner there, and I also have one under my kitchen sink all the time. Brûlée blowtorch. You could use a stick lighter, similar to this if you want. They work great. This has just got a little bit more horsepower. So I give this a little light. I'm not gonna hang out too long on that. Gonna do that. Just gonna set this down on top of it, and I'm gonna let it go. Now, because there's a few of the matchlight charcoals in the bottom, it's gonna go really fast and really well. And then it'll just poof right up. So let me set these to the side. Now I'm gonna pick this up and show it to you, but then I'm gonna move it away from the smoker so you can see that going really good. And I'm just gonna set it over here. And the reason is because this stuff smokes a lot when it's starting. And under the cover here, it's just gonna smoke me out completely. So now, let's go ahead and take a look at this here. And I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna slide this in there. I prefer to light it in there, but you don't have to. You can light it out here. I would recommend that you have some kind of oven mitts or hot gloves or something. The Weber hot gloves that I have that I've mentioned in my accessory video are really good for this. And just another way to do this. So this thing's going along, but it's gonna need about 2 or 3 minutes. So let's go ahead and take a break, and then when we come back, I'll go ahead and give you a close-up shot, and then you'll get an idea of what's going on. All right, so our charcoal lighter chimney is all ready and done. I think I want to get a little bit of a picture of it for you. I wasn't going to, but I think I will. So first, let me show you some of the reel from about 3 minutes ago, and you'll see in this video that it is smoking right along. Now, if you check this video out, there's no smoke, and you can see that all the edges of all the charcoal are white, and it's actually burning through the middle, so you can see the consistent flame. It's I call it a jet engine. It just burns right down the middle. And so now we'll go ahead and get that in the into the charcoal tray. So now, if you can see here on the regular view, there's the tray, and I have it halfway pulled out. And then what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and open the top drawer, just because it'll give me a couple more inches to work with there. Now, if you're not comfortable, don't do this. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna be pouring the charcoal in there right in the top. So we're gonna go to that other camera, and then you can see that there's a gap there that I left in the earlier part of this video. And now I have the charcoal chimney here, and I'm just gonna pour it right on in there. And we're going to try to get it all in that same little gap area there. And like I said, we don't want to have any more left than would fill that gap, and it turned out almost perfect. Now I'm gonna grab my charcoal tongs. When you get a pair of tongs that needs to be retired, this is what you do with them. So then I'm gonna move this over and level it out. And you can see that on that other camera view right there. See how good of that picture is there. Oh, that's perfect. So this one here, we're gonna move it back away because we wanna get the stuff that's not lit back here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and close this top door. Now the whole thing should still be cool, so you shouldn't have any problems loading it. But if you're concerned about it, get yourself your oven gloves, and then you'll be able to slide it right on in. Now that I have it in position, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the power button on. And then I'm just gonna tap the temperature, and I'm gonna turn it up to a starting temperature of 260. The reason I'm going 260 is because you can always raise the temperature on this unit, but you can never lower it. Then I'm gonna hold the safety button, and I'm gonna make sure it kicks on. Let's get a little bit better view of that. And to do that, I'm going to lower the camera down here and change the angle. And because I kicked the safety on, it'll stay on for a second there before it turns back off. But it is blowing on that charcoal really good, and it's going to get up to temperature before you know it. I want to double check the charcoal, the smoker, to make sure. Okay, we have the deflector open in the full open position. Now I'm just going to go ahead and close this down. So I'm going to change this for a second. So you can see here in this shot that we are only at 68 degrees. I'm going to run this for a second because I want you to understand how fast the temperature goes up, especially when we put in that chimney full of charcoal. Now, when I say chimney full, I mean it was less than half, but it was going really good, and that makes all the difference. If you're concerned about loading it also, I would say dump it on the ground on a safe spot, like you could use a piece of concrete driveway or some cement blocks, or you know, gravel driveway is actually the perfect place. And then use a small shovel, like a clamming shovel or something like that. They're really blunt and kind of really good in size for doing this kind of job. So we're going to cut back over to this other video here real quick. 97 degrees so far. It is just flying. You'll have to excuse my voice a little bit. Still having a little bit of a cough problem. 102. It is just cranking up there. Before you know it, it'll be at cooking temperature. And so like I said it at 260, but once it gets going well at 260, then I'll adjust it to whatever cooking temperature I'm gonna make in the next video. So thanks for watching. The links for everything, including the review, are directly below, and then there's the charcoal review also. And then there's affiliate links for all the products I use in this video and other videos directly below, including my camera, which this camera I love, and this one is my previous one, which is actually my wife's camera, and it is working out great today. So we're gonna try using that more often, but we might have to buy a new battery because I think this battery is at the end of its life. So thanks for watching. You have a great day.